Hey, you're listening to the Big Breakdown podcast with Chris Stafford and Harrison Marshall. Take it away, fellas.
Hello and welcome along to episode 8 of the Big Breakdown podcast. Today we are joined by Colin Stevens, Director of Rugby at Leeds Beckett University, and he's here to chat to us today about his coaching experiences from playing for Wales, moving to Yorkshire, and his little bit of coaching within Rugby League as well. Don't forget, you can still enter our Canterbury Phoenix Pro boot giveaway. We have pairs to give away across Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Head to our social media channels to find out how to enter. Basically, all you need to do is follow the page, find the giveaway post, like that post, and tag 3 mates in the comments below. We'll announce the winners on episode 9 of the podcast, and the boots are sent directly from Canterbury, so we'll get in contact with you about address details, shoe size. So it doesn't matter what you are, you can still enter this fantastic competition from our friends at Canterbury. Harrison, how have you been?
Good, very good. Enjoying the sun. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Obviously, burnt my my massive head being outside coaching again, but it's the downside to not having any hair. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back on the training field, coaching again. It's fun.
Yeah, well, I guess you're taking it to it like a duck to water again. Have you found it easy? Yes. I actually caught shape yesterday to some freshers. And to start with, I was like, do I still remember how we play? But they picked it up quite well. They picked it up quite quickly. On reflection, I need to watch my language. I think I got a bit too excited. Swearing came out a little bit too much, but that was my own reflection. I think other than that, there was quite a good session actually. There's some good players coming through. It's going to be, although we've had a year off, I think when we've got quite a lot of lads leaving, I think it'll be there's some good players coming through to fill the gaps. Good. That's good. That's good to hear. And I guess there'll be another 150 freshers joining again in September.
Yeah, let's not think about that just yet. Let's get these lads sorted first, and then see what's coming in when we start again in September. But it's exciting. It's just good to be back out coaching again and that interaction. How are things with you? You actually had a game at the weekend. How exciting is that?
Yes. It was nice. Weather was spot on, and it was just good to go actually watch a game of rugby with my own eyes and actually to be a part of it as well. Just getting that. I think you've spoken about it before. That game day buzz. It was great. It was great. First little outing for the Wasps lads against Leicester Tigers ahead of our academy league game throughout May. So yeah, nice little training game. No such thing as a training game, but it was a nice little training game. But no, it was just so awesome to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this before, and I was chatting to Kerry about it yesterday at work about how that game day buzz, I think, is what I miss the most of the last sort of 12 months. That being out on the field, that reacting to what's going on in front of you, the match day pressures. I'm looking forward to that buzz starting again, and because that's sort of the thrill, isn't it? That unknown of a match day of what's going to happen next, the unpredictability. It's you can't control it anymore, really, can you? You can just influence.
Exactly, and I think I'm fortunate now to have both college and academy games throughout May, and I think you've got some games with the Beckett lads as well coming up soon.
Yeah. In May, with Leeds Tykes have launched this Venture Cup, which is sort of us, Leeds Tykes and Hull Ionians. So you play each other home and away, and then there's a finals day at Henley Stadium in June, I think. So yeah, it'd be quite good, and I think it'd be good it'd be good for the lads that are leaving. They can have a little bit of a run around and put the Beckett jersey on again, and then we're going to have a look at a few of the freshers and some of the other lads that have started to shine so far. So yeah, it'll be exciting. Looking forward to it.
Exciting times ahead. Times ahead.
Should we get started and introduce Colin?
Yes, yeah. Pressure's on here with him being your line manager.
Yeah, can't get this one, can I? So, Colin made his debut for Llanelli at 10 at just 19 after Jonathan Davies moved to Rugby League. In 1992, Colin's playing career hit a high when he was elevated to the Wales number 10 spot, and he was man of the match for the Scarlets' famous victory over world champions Australia, clinching the win with 2 drop goals. In 1995, Colin moved to Leeds, playing for Leeds Tykes, Huddersfield, Sedgley Park and Morley. And in 2003, he joined Leeds Beckett University, where for the last 18 years, he's been in the role of Director of Rugby. During this time, he's reached 3 BUCS University finals at Twickenham and won the competition in 2015, beating Loughborough. In 2017, they were one of the first 8 universities to be selected for the new National University League, BUCS Super Rugby, which is seen now as an important stepping stone to professional game and that bridge between academy and professional levels. Over the last 15 years, Colin has grown the university team from 2 teams to 8 teams across the men's and women's program, supporting 265 players participating in the sport at a variety of different levels. Colin joins us today to chat about his experiences playing club and international rugby and to share some of his learnings over his 26-year coaching career. So, Col, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yes, getting out of lockdown, which is better. So looking forward to doing some coaching.
Yeah, we're back on the 12th of April, aren't we? So it'll be good to get out and have a run around and get the lads playing.
Yeah, the university boys will be back on the 12th, so I'm sure they're looking forward to that. Having been stuck in the house for a while, and then the Tykes are back this evening, so I'm looking forward to getting back to some coaching. You know, having not coached in a year, maybe forgotten how to coach, but yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I keep asking myself the same thing sometimes, and we're going to be able to jump straight back into it. I think it would be quite good, Col, just to sort of start off with is if we just talk about your backstory. So you're from when you started playing, to sort of how you end up in Leeds with the Tykes and then at Leeds Beckett.
Gosh, I could take up all the time of the podcast with that one, Chris. Yeah, well, backstory of my rugby career. Schools rugby, played Wales schools at 18, and then on my 18th birthday started playing with the Scarlets, and then spent great years there. I think it was 7 or 8 years I spent at the Scarlets, and then moved to Leeds in 95, I think it was, 95-96 season, I think it was, before the game turned professional. So yeah, in the time with the Scarlets, I was lucky enough to play for Wales and the Barbarians, and so I was happy to achieve my goals there. And an accident really in a rugby game led my path to Leeds, and then from there, and I played for Leeds for 3-4 years. The game turned professional, so I managed to catch the back end of professional rugby. And then moved to a couple of clubs within Yorkshire.
Yeah, and what surprised me there is you missed out your drop goal against Australia, which was obviously my induction at work. I had to watch that on YouTube on repeat, sort of learning about that. So what's when you came to Tykes, was that straight in as a player coach type role, or did you transition into that?
It was yeah, it was a strange one really. That there was obviously coaches in place, but with my experience as a player, I was duty bound to do some coaching during games and in training sessions. But I actually started as a development officer, so I was employed by Leeds Rugby as a development officer to go around schools and coach in schools. So yeah, quite enjoyed that actually. It was all right. It was a new job and a new career start, I suppose. So yeah, so I went there, but the whole ambition was to get Leeds Rugby up the leagues quite quickly, and I enjoyed that aspect of coaching as well. You know, not just with the children.
So just out of interest, at what point in your your playing journey did you kind of realise that you wanted to go down that coaching pathway, or was it just like sprung upon you?
I don't think it was sprung upon us. I think it was just something that any rugby player maybe wants to do at the end of his career. You didn't think it was, it's going to happen during your career, but things happen. You get injured. You retire, and you've got to look at what you do next. And yeah, coaching was I don't know. It seemed to come natural to me. I quite enjoyed the part of coaching on the field. I enjoyed being a player coach, and I enjoyed I suppose that comes with the position you play as well, when you manage all the players around you. So I felt that I was doing the coaching bit on the field anyway, but maybe not in the training session. So you kind of dropped into it, and I've always been thought of being a coach at the end of rugby, possibly because I love the game so much and I enjoy the crack that comes with it as well. So so it was just natural to fall into that, I think, and to get the start. Even when I was in the Scarlets, you're still doing your bit. You're still coaching without thinking that you're a coach. You're first and foremost a rugby player, but you're still doing it. And you kind of fell in naturally to it, I suppose.
Well, Fairs. And what was that transition like from being that player coach to just being solely a coach? I guess the responsibilities shift a little bit there.
That's a difficult one, or the most difficult one, because when you're a player coach, I thrived on it. I loved it. Absolutely couldn't think of a better job. Did it at Sedgley Park when I was there with them. Did it at Leeds. Did it at Huddersfield when I was there. And I really loved Anne Morley. I loved every minute of being a player coach. And then the dreaded retirement has to come in, Harrison. You got to think, right, okay, there's no more rugby in you. Now you solely got to be a coach. And that's the hard transition to let the rugby go. Although you want to join in training sessions and still feel that you can. Your body is basically saying you can't, and that's not because of heavy tackles or ruck cleaning. It's just aches and pains of old age. So that was the hard bit to become a coach. But done it for so long then, and you kind of get on with it, and you start learning different things as a coach.
Yeah, well, you certainly not lost it. I remember, having played under you on a Thursday night at Morley, just constantly spraying the balls wherever you want them. So you always should have got the magic touch.
But you didn't see me Friday morning, did you? So I was like, I was agony Friday morning, just running around. So So that's the fun bit. You still feel that you can join in for a couple of sessions, but you just get the realization that you can't, and then you got to start. It's strange in a way. I always thought that maybe as a kicking coach or whatever, you could almost demonstrate all the time how it should be done, and then you can do that for a while longer after rugby, and then that kind of stops. You got to try and without showing, you got to try and coach it without showing. I suppose it's really weird, but I always feel that you can put a ball on a tee or get it in the hand and still be able to do it.
What have been some of your biggest sort of learning moments as you've developed it as a coach, Col, over the last few years? What would be one of the biggest things you've learned?
Yeah, I think just as a coach and not as a, it's far easier as a player coach. I just thought you could. It's almost when you play, it's like deja vu, Chris. You can know what's going to happen, or here it comes again. Here's that the play or the part of the game where you need to control better and you need to change, or remember what happened last time. This is what happened, and you get the feeling of, right, I'm not going to do that again. You learn as a player and obviously as a player coach, but as a coach, you can almost you learn through your not your errors, but your lessons, not losses, but your lessons, and you can almost see it happening on the field. Saying, right, how can you then as a coach stop that happening without having any influence over not playing in that game in that moment? And I can safely say over the years you do get that feeling of what's going to happen here. This is the situation that's going to cost you momentum or game or wins or losses, and you can put your finger on it, and not always, but you can see it coming sometimes. So there's a lot of learning. People say you learn from your losses. I don't know. You learn lessons, hard lessons, and you need to change those and try and control those and not repeat them, I suppose.
I think you've raised a very good point there. I think as coaches, it's sometimes hard to learn from those lessons, and actually that self-reflecting on that is a big part of that. And actually sometimes it's just admitting that you don't have total control like you do as a player. Like you said, if you're out there at 10 pulling the strings and you feel like the momentum is shifting, you know exactly what you can do straight away to change that. Whereas a coach, you've just got to trust in those players. So for you as a coach, I'm guessing having that trust and belief in the players is got to be one of the first things for you then.
Yeah, I think so, Alison. And you got to install that, what you're feeling or your experiences to those people and to those players. And if you can, some of it's they'll not believe you. Some of it, that's not going to happen. Well, you can see it happening, or it will happen in a game. And if you can just give them a trigger to say, this is the moment, this is the period where you need to, control maybe rather than try and score another try, or I don't know. There's moments in the game that you can control from the sidelines, and you can see it coming. And I've always said that there's when teams and I watch games now regularly, and when teams lose a game, there's a moment in there you say, well, that's it. That's the moment that the momentum swing or something happened, and you see it so often. And if you can get away from those moments, then I'm sure you'll win more games. But yeah, it's coaching's part of installing that scenario into players. Whether they take you up on that is another thing.
Have you got any examples in which you've done that, either on the field or off the field in terms of conversations and things?
It's a hard one to find the example. You find yourself in the moment during a game as a coach on the sidelines. You know it's coming, but it happens so quickly, and you think, there it is again. It's happened. It's repeated itself, and we went. I think it was 1 year Beckett. We were forever losing games by last kicks, last plays, last decisions, last a poor decision, a call, and it was literally a last kick of the game or last try of the game, last play of the game. So how would you change that? Do you change? Would we have changed what we did in the last minute? And it's heartbreaking when you lose. When you're in control of a game where you felt you'd done enough to win, and then there it is. There's the error. There's the decision of that player, and it's cost you. So you get those moments, and you try and think, right, as much as you're upside down at the time, and you're gutted for the team, and you just try and think, right, how can we change that, and how could we, it's the lesson, it's the learning, isn't it? It's and hopefully we don't do it again. But having said that, as a coach, we've lost one, we've lost two, we've lost three. We're learning, but they're all different circumstances. It wasn't the same decision. It wasn't the same. So you're trying to coach the whole package. Yeah, it was, maybe that's a good example.
I think going on that learning element as well, Colin, I know for a few years you went and worked with Tony Smith at Warrington. With you were doing some kicking there, weren't you? In between some Beckett stuff. What did you notice sort of moving into rugby league environment from what you'd experienced in rugby union? Or wasn't there a change?
Yes, people say that the sports are quite close together. I think I find them totally different, and the skill level of rugby league players is up there with rugby union players. It's massive. It's just for me as a coach, Tony is a real good coach manager, and he brought me in to emphasize the importance of kicking and to work with those kickers as individuals to practice more. It's strange in a way that the smaller the skill, the less the practice, but the smaller the skill, the bigger outcome on the game. And kicking in rugby league is huge. So I enjoyed my my time there. Learned a lot from Tony and the players. It was, if you can create the emphasis that one aspect of a game of rugby union or league is very important. It's worth getting those coaches in, as you see now in union. Is you get mixed bunch of coaches who are specialists in their own department. breakdown coach, defense coach, attack coach, skill coach, your head coach. You got them all there, and it's important to create that emphasis that every one of those aspects of that game is important, and should be practiced constantly, and that's why I was over there, and I was fortunate to work with some brilliant professional rugby league players, and it was good. It was good 4 or 5 years, and we went to 2 cup finals, 2 grand finals. So I'm not sure if that makes me the best rugby league coach in the country. Definitely not. But I enjoyed my time there. I enjoyed working with not only Tony, Willie Porchin and Richard Marshall as coaching Salford. I think Willie's at Wakefield. So enjoyed my time there. Learned a lot as a coach and as a person and an outsider going into a different sport.
Yeah, I think I think that's I think it's very beneficial for a lot of coaches to do is drop in and potentially learn from different environments and how they work. I think a lot of the topics when we move earlier on in the season or across this podcast, we've looked at trying to understand our who we're coaching and our what. Is that something that you kind of noticed from the different environments that you've worked in, and as well as within that rugby league environment, of how they look to create that culture and really begin to understand their participants? Yeah,
and on a personal level, Harrison, I was I was there, yes, to do mainly my role within that group and that team. But on a personal note, I'm always looking at the other coaches and how they do things and what I could bring to my coaching, and what I could bring to rugby union, and that's in all environments, I suppose. Not only the rugby league bit that I went into, but even when I was coaching at Morley or at Sedgley Park when I was there, I was always thinking, right, how could we try that? Could we do that? And having been as a coach, you try. I've been coached by and played with some of the best players in the world. So I was fortunate to do that. So, and then if I can take little bits of everybody and learn from those experiences and what they're giving along the way, then you mold yourself into what you believe. And I don't believe in copying anybody or anybody's coaching style, or you're your own man and you're your own coach, and that's what. But I certainly learn from bits of coaches, so you'll find bits of everybody in a coach, I'd imagine. I don't believe that's the one who you are. You're a bit of everybody, I think. But it rubs off, and you if you can take all the good bits from all different coaches, you won't be far wrong, will you? So that's the way I look at things, and you're always trying to ask questions, and you from the coaches you've been coached by, you thought were really good, so why not pinch a little bit?
Nothing wrong with pinching a little bit of gold dust, I think I like to call it.
Yeah, I think so. There's different types of coaches, Harrison, as well, isn't there? There's there's very good motivational coaches who can get you inspired before a game, and there's good technical coaches, and for these days, players should embrace all that. You know what I mean? They're there to help. Help you make become a better rugby player, and that's at all levels. So players should be feel themselves fortunate that they're in a professional game, and they can learn from different coaches.
And there's coaches that scare the living daylights out of you as well.
Well, there are those as well. Yeah, keep away from those. They usually got single numbers on their backs.
Yes.
I think there's some really good points there, Col, and I think for the coaches that are listening, I mean, your CV alone from coaching, you've gone from professional with Tykes and the role at Leeds Beckett as well to Morley, Huddersfield, and sort of semi-professional with Sedgley Park as well. Was there any common themes with how you coached in each one of them environments, or do you have to approach the professional one a little bit different to how you might look at the more amateur level?
Yeah, good question. Is as a head coach going into an amateur club, if you like, training on a Tuesday, Thursday, and you inherit a bunch of guys, and you think, right, okay, you might have a game plan in your head of this, or how you see the game being played on the pitch and in training, and yet, for all your hard work, you can't get those players to do exactly what you want, and it's not the fault of the coach or the players. It's just a reality of where they are. Maybe they're not fit enough, not skillful enough, not big enough, whatever. It's so you try and adapt your way to that club's history and culture, but in a realistic way. And it's easier. I gotta say, it's easier when you're training every day, and you spend a lot of time, and you have the facilities and the staff and the equipment to do what you need. Then you can start saying, right, this is how I want to play the game. You have the players, and then it's down to you as a coach to put that rugby view into play. In a way, do you just tune it back a little bit for the other clubs? You still, would it be worth having Colin Stevens going into coach a club that that can't shift the ball from edge to edge or attack from deep or whatever, and play a 8-man, 10-man, 12-man rugby? Maybe a good forwards coach might be able to do that better. I don't know, but my view is, keep your views on how you want to play the game, and then scale it down slightly for what you have, and develop your team around that. Tough to do, but it's it does. My view, I can only say that with Leeds Beckett, we have those guys a lot of time during the week. We spend a lot of time with them, and we can help them and mold them into the way we want to play rugby at Leeds Beckett. And that's easier than just training an hour on a Tuesday, an hour on a Thursday.
No, I think that's a really good point, Colin. And it sort of mirrors up to what other guests have said sort of throughout the series as well, around that understanding the wants and needs. Because like you said there, it doesn't necessarily mean that what's worked in one environment is going to necessarily transition into the one, especially from an amateur perspective. If you've not got the players, if you've not got as much time with them to get them into shape to where you need to be, which, so you've got to tailor stuff to what's in front of you, and you've got to be prepared for that. You sort of just started to touch on the Beckett program there. Can you sort of give us an overview of the rugby program at the university? And then I think it'd be quite good to sort of discuss how the university program's changed since you got there in 2003 to the introduction of BUCS Super Rugby a couple of years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Leeds Beckett, pride ourselves on running 6 teams. Rugby for everyone, I suppose, is the right way of putting it. And leading up to the first team who are now playing in BSR, I just feel that the Leeds Beckett program is giving every rugby playing student the opportunity to thrive and play rugby, and as well as getting a degree. And I've always thought is at this moment in time, there's no harm in doing both. Studying and playing a top level, a top level, but a quality level of rugby, and that's and there's a clear pathway now, providing these athletes with with a pathway to go into a rugby career after studying. But yeah, when I started in 2003, very, very, very different. The rugby program was there, run by the students. We only had a couple of teams, and not doing very well, I suppose. But no fault of the students that were there. Just not much coaching going on really. And then we developed into one of the top 4 universities, I imagine, in the country. I've been in the top 3 the last couple of years, I think. So yeah, very, very proud of what's happened in the last 17 years. It's been a struggle. It's been tough. But yeah, you know, we've had some success along the way as well, and that's always good to. It's really strange actually. It was one of the students is now retiring from rugby. That's how long I've been there, which is yeah, a bit weird. But yeah, I've been played 170 odd games, so for Cornish Pirates, which is pretty weird.
Oh, that's yeah, it's full credit to yourself and the program that's run at Leeds Beckett. Is there any kind of like memories or moments when you felt that you over those 17 years where you thought, yeah, we're on the right track here, we're creating something that's good and is going to last a long time?
Well, a couple of stories you are. It was oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the year. I think it was 2011, 2012. I can't remember the year, and I thought I really got a good squad here, good team, and I went to Hartpury away in the quarter final of the cup it was called then. I think it was called the Championship. BUCS Super Rugby wasn't around then, and I came up against my old coach Alan Lewis, who was coaching Hartpury at the time. Very successful. Hartpury still are one of the teams to beat, and they were very, very good. And I went down there with I thought was a strong squad. We got to the quarterfinals and some good performances, and I remember Alan telling me, why you so, happy, why you so, and I said, well, we've got a chance with a quarterfinal. We're going to give you it. I remember him saying, you're not going to win today. We've got the best team. We've got the best players. And I thought, we'll show him now. And he was right. We lost quite heavily by 50 odd points, I think. But they had, quality rugby players across the board. But in saying that, you learn from that, and then 3 years later, we beat them in the semi-final on the Cabbage Patch. Well, shouldn't say that, but on the first team rugby pitch, and we go to the final and beat Loughborough. So it's bittersweet, but so you learn from, you don't be too excited just yet. You're not quite there, and then 3 or 4 years later, you go and win at Twickenham. So lots of good moments. Every time we had to move up a league from Northern Conference 4B, I think, to get to Prem A, Prem B. They're all important, and every student, every rugby player through those years has made a contribution to that. So it's not just the good times of winning at Twickenham. There's hundreds of students before that had to work really hard to get us to those positions. So yeah, so it's a collective effort. Lots of good memories. You always remember the wins, but you remember the huge losses as well.
That was my first year studying, the year that we
Well, there we are.
had a Friday night lights at Twickenham and come back and beat Loughborough. No, it was a special day. But I think that in terms of my experiences I had at Beckett, I think the one that stood out for me is when we went down to Exeter in the semi-finals, and we had majority of the club come down and support the first team. And I think that just epitomised what Leeds Beckett as a university, as a rugby club is about, is that, there is rugby for everyone, but we all pitch out to support each other, because those first team players would come and support a third team if they weren't playing as well. So I think that's credit to the programme that
I think you're right, Alison. It's a club within a club, and we got, I think it's 300 members in the club, maybe, or 270 odd members in the club, and that day was, we couldn't do it any tougher really. Exeter away in the semi-final, it was pretty tough, but the spectators came down and certainly were loud. And it was good. It was a good win. But going back to Leeds Beckett, there's the first team. Those, as I said previously, those players are given every opportunity now to become a top flight rugby player, from everything that the university gives, in S&C, analysts, nutrition, health and well-being, mentoring through, everything is there for them. That's all they have to do is concentrate on their rugby. So if you're in that environment, it's almost replicating a good academy program. So there's no excuses really, and if you want to develop and want to progress in your rugby career, then they're in the right environment.
And how has the introduction of BUCS Super Rugby helped with that, Col, in terms of the top 10 universities in the country now operating, like you just said there, a bit of like an academy type program? Because it's obviously seen a noticeable difference in terms of the standard, and then more players going on to contracts afterwards.
Yeah, I think introduction of Super Rugby is highlighted to the rest of rugby at that age group that it's a force. It's tough rugby, it's good rugby, and it is a clear pathway. You see so many rugby players coming out of other universities as well as ours, moving on to professional. Some of them are pushing for England squad places right now. So that the introduction of Super Rugby certainly highlighted the quality that is coming through university rugby. But it also shows that there's other formats, other ways to become a professional rugby player or a full-time rugby player. The academy system is one which is brilliant, working with the clubs, and not all get the chance to go through that pathway. So I believe we're an extended arm of an academy and we can certainly help in that way. I believe, and this is only my view, that I believe every academy player should get some kind of academic background or a degree behind them, as well as trying to become a rugby player, because things happen, and I've been through it myself. And your rugby career isn't that long if you pick up a few injuries. So it's good to fall back on something. But the introduction of Super Rugby has been great, and it's I think people sit up and notice now, where a few years ago, maybe 5-10 years ago, it was university rugby is what it is. Students playing rugby. No, it's a little different. It's a little different, and every university has a top class program to develop these players.
And it's quite good as well when you see players that come in and work the way up from the lower teams through. You look at Stefan, for example, from a couple of years ago. He probably down to my failure to miss him, but he couldn't even get in the fours in his first year, and by the time he left with the Masters, he was starting fly half and one of the stars of the team. So it just shows that of that program you can still develop over your 3 years that you're there and still get where you need to be.
Oh, very much so. It's not only the recruitment tools that we have where you bring in quality rugby players. We pride ourselves on you come to Leeds Beckett, you want to become a rugby player or you want to play rugby. There's rugby for you, but there's top quality rugby regardless of what you've done in your past or where you come from. Is if you're willing to work, there's opportunities there. And yeah, it's nice when you find and there's several stories like that where the boys have come in from second, third and teams and worked their way up, and and good on them. It just goes to show that you can develop in those 3-4 years.
So with so along the journey, and then with the introduction of BUCS Super Rugby, how has that affected your not necessarily your mindset, but your approach to coaching your group of players, especially the first team? As you said, the standard of and the attitudes of university rugby has changed. How has that kind of changed your approach to coaching the players?
Yeah, I think so. You got where a few years ago, but before Super Rugby, you're on your own, and you got a bag of balls and a rack of water bottles, and off you go and get some cones and get some coaching done. And you got no video analysis, no strength and conditioning, no nutrition talks, none of those things, and no chance to get individual meetings or develop a plan. And then now all of a sudden it's changed. You get some help, and the university been fantastic at that, and now these players demand all the help, and you change your my big part of my coaching, I suppose, is to look at the opposition as well and try and and identify who's doing what and when and how they play, and you know, so it's a lot of tools that you get now that you can that can help you. So yeah, you do change, and you do, you know, you work a bit harder. Results come a bit harder to get. Every game's competitive. I'm not saying they weren't back in the day, but you know, you can almost pencil in a couple of wins in the season now in Super Rugby. It's tough. You need to be on point every game. And squad size, you know, you need to work with, you know, your squad size and try and get through the season with as little injuries as possible.
So in terms of as head of the program, as the director of rugby, and you said that you're now working with more coaches across S&C, maybe assistant coaches, video analysis. How has that been in terms of managing a coaching team as well as players? Because I know it's a skill a lot of coaches who might be listening to the podcast maybe struggle with. How have you kind of approached that, and what kind of things have you done with regards to that?
An absolute nightmare. You two were absolute nightmare. I'm still struggling. No, it's managing staff and having staff in. I just, the way I look at it is treat those coaches, those staff as I would want to be treated, I suppose, and you know, enough. I don't want to say enough reign to do what you want. If you're a defence coach and you're a defence coach, I'm not going to interrupt in that. You know, that's what you do and so on. And a forwards coach, very rarely I'll go in and ask about what are the lineouts doing today. You know, it's not my job. So yeah, so it's managing those guys, from the S&C guys to the analysts and assistant coaches, head coaches. Yeah, treat them as I would want to be treated, and let them do their jobs that they're good at doing. And I'm very, very fortunate that I have a lot of good coaches and people who want to help. So I'm pretty blessed in that department.
I remember you told me when you first used to Beckett, it was just you turn up with a bag of balls and off you go. You'd have 4 teams to run. But now that you've got that full coaching team now with Kerry helping you as sort of head coach and forwards coach, I'm there sort of looking after twos. Then we've got Dane involved with the S&C, and Baz comes in and helps out with the video analysis, and the School of Sport sort of come in and help with the nutrition. So it's a real full partnership from the whole university to help that program excel and stay as one of the best ones in the country, which I think shows the development and the journey it's been on over the last 17 years. Just for, obviously we get around 180 odd lads a year sort of sign up into the program, and they come from all sorts of different backgrounds, different sort of skill levels. For anyone that's listening that's potentially thinking of coming to Leeds Beckett, what do you think some of the key skills or the key personalities they need sort of to come into the program as a first year in order to start progressing? Yeah,
I'm going to say well put in your first statement. That's perfect. But yeah, the question, tough. You know, what I will say is, first year students making their decisions to come to university is obviously a big decision in itself. And then I just want to reiterate what you just said, that there's rugby for everybody. So if you're a captain of your school or just on the bench for your school team and you want to go and become part of Leeds Beckett Rugby Union Club, there's a place for you. And regardless of quality of what you've done or how you play, there's still a place for you within our club. If you have ambitions to go further, then yeah, it's we've always had the work hard ethic about us. So we don't shy away from the early morning starts and late night and in poor conditions. We tend to work hard through the week, and the program gives you that opportunity to show that. But there's a social aspect to Leeds Beckett as well, where you can play social rugby and in the lower leagues and on Friday night lights if you want to do that as well. But it's it's if you want to come to Leeds Beckett, there's an opportunity. I just want to say that to progress, and and you've hit the nail on the head. The example of if you want to use Steph, where he came in and no background really in rugby union, started in the thirds and was one of our best players leaving. I would say having achieved a masters. So opportunity. But if you're aspiring to get into the first team, there's hard work, and don't be frightened of that. It's part and parcel of a rugby player. If you can manage, and it's important that you can manage both. It's not just coming to Leeds Beckett for rugby. There's also the academic side, which is first and foremost, and then the rugby will take care of itself.
And that's how we structure the program as well, isn't it? So the studies are always never there's never a decision to pick one or the other. It's always the education comes first, and we put the training around them times. Like you say, with the lads will do early morning gym sessions. We'll train on an evening on a Monday, games on a Wednesday, and then we train on an evening on a Friday, and then Saturday mornings as well. So it's all revolve around the university education is the priority, and then rugby is sort of an add-on really to add value to the university experience.
Absolutely. And you'll find that student diseases want the whole package, and I like to think that we can do that as a university.
Definitely. Well, Harrison, I mean, you've been through it. You've experienced it as a player, the only one in the room that's done that.
Yes. I 6 years I spent at Leeds Beckett, four as a player, and then 2 as the assistant coach. The one that I know, I think for me, I gained valuable experience. I think a lot of people have helped me along the way in that experience. Two of you I'm chatting with now, but there's a whole list of people that have helped. So I can't speak highly enough of Leeds Beckett. It's not. We're not looking to. It's free advertisement. We should really be charging, really, shouldn't we?
Be proud, Harrison. Come on.
You cut me open. As the phrase is, I bleed purple. I'll be purple, and I think for the rest of my days I'll probably keep up to date with what's going on at Leeds Beckett, because it's got a place in here now.
Good lad.
Yeah, so a lot of positive memories, and it's massively helped me on my journey. So thank you very much.
What props?
Just sort of before we finish, you're obviously you're returning to the new brand again of Leeds Tykes. They've reformed from Yorkshire Carnegie to Leeds Tykes, and you're going to be working with Phil Davies again. How are you looking forward to that? Are you looking forward to the plan ahead? Are you looking forward to working with Phil again in that respect? And sort of his background from obviously being a World Cup coach.
Yeah. I've known Phil for years. In my early days of the Scarlets in 87, 88. So so I've known Phil for a while, and it was great that Phil decided to come back and help Yorkshire Carnegie Leeds Tykes. And he bring in Wayne Proctor with him as well. A vast amount of experience. Both of them 2 World Cups. I'd probably says he's coached Cardiff region, the Scarlets. He's done at Worcester, so a vast amount of experience with Phil and with Proc. And I'm looking forward to. It's almost full circle. I've come back and coached where I first started playing when I first moved up in '95. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a new start. I wouldn't say it's a new club, but it's a new name again, or going back to the old name, but a new format. So I'm looking forward to that. We start tonight. There's also now a more clear pathway, for players who are graduating from Leeds Beckett to have the opportunity to play wherever Leeds Tykes may be. If that's National 1 or Championship, or you never know, in a few years in the Premiership. So and that's the plan, and that's a good link to have with the university and club. So excited about it. It's it'll be tough, but it'd be good to be working with Phil and Proc again.
Yeah, there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of experience there, and that'll benefit the lads as well that do cross over to go and learn from them as well, and get them experiences. Colin, I just want to thank you again for taking your time out and coming today. I think there's been a lot of stuff there that the coaches will get from and be able to take into their environments. We always end with the same question, which Harrison takes the lead on, around captain bench drop. So I'll just hand you over to Harrison for that.
Yeah, no. So like, as we always said, we've delved into some interesting topics, but not putting you on the spot a little bit here, but a bit of a light-hearted fun. So I'm going to give you three players. You being Welsh, there'll be 3 Welsh legends. You got to name one of them captain of your squad. You got to bench one of them, and then you got to tell and then I'll reveal all in a second. And then finally, you got to drop one of them. You got to tell them that they're no longer welcome in the squad. You got to go. I'm sorry. The 3 players that we've got for you. Number 1, Stephen Jones. Number 2, Sam Warburton. And number 3, Gareth Thomas. The 3 Welsh legends.
Oh, well, oh, that's a terrible question, and it's three great players. I think I'm trying to work out how many caps they actually got. I think Gareth must have 90. Maybe did he get 100 caps? I'm not sure. Sam must have got. Oh, he must be up there as well, and Stephen obviously. So, oh God, how do you do that?
It's, yeah, so,
that's a tough one. My Stephen, as a Llanelli boy and as a 10, I'd probably sway to I'd have to have him in the team, but then I'm dropping probably or benching one of the 2 other fantastic players. So that's pretty harsh. I think I'd have to go if I was a coach looking to pick a team, and I've only got 3 players to select from there. I'd have to have 1 back playing and 1 forward on the bench, and the other one would have to be dropped and have a terrible conversation with having probably had 90 odd caps. So I'm not sure how many caps they've actually had. So if I just said I'd pick 1 back, 1 forward would be on the bench, and the other back would be have the conversation, and then that'll be it. So at least one of the answers. I couldn't tell you which way I'd go there, but all fantastic players.
So Warburton's on the bench. So you've nailed that one in.
And he's the only forward. I'm sure Gareth could play in the forwards. He's a powerful rugby player in his time, so I'm sure he could play the forwards. But yeah, I think probably I'd probably have to go with Stephen captain and playing, Sam on the bench, and Gareth would have to have a word.
It's fair. We had Joe that was on the last episode. He wanted to delegate out who he was going to drop because he didn't want to have the conversation with Graham Roundtree. It was his 3 that he had, but I think he ended up putting Graham on the bench, didn't he? So he didn't have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
It's not a good question. It's a terrible question. Knowing I know Stephen more than the other 2, but I know Gareth more than Sam. So yeah, it's tough question. Not a nice one, Harrison. You're a bad man.
It's just a nice little feature at the end. We've had some interesting ones so far, and once again, yeah, it's.
See, you're showing your age as well, Harrison. You should have gone back a bit further and gone into my time when I was a player with some of these players. I've never played with these guys, so you know what I mean. That'd have been a better one maybe if you'd have gone back a little bit further. So if you had a chance again, you can give me 3 different players, maybe guys that I know that I could. Yeah.
I thought that would be more difficult for you.
Oh no, that's easy. When you know them personally, it's quite easy.
Well, it's good choices. So thank you very much.
It's a learning moment for you there, Harrison. So take that on board. Carl, thanks again for coming on. It's very much appreciated. and we'll see you next time.
No problem. Cheers, boys.
So Harrison, we've had a couple of weeks since our interview with Col, just to digest it and listen to it back. What were your reflections from that?
I thought, first of all, I thought it was an interesting insight into Colin Stevens' coaching journey. I think what was quite potent was what we were talking about at the start. That transition from being a player into a player coach, then to actually a full-time coach. And how I know always both of you and I have spoken with plenty of coaches who just absolutely loathe the idea of being a player coach. But it's actually quite interesting to see how Colin really kind of embraced it and how he actually preferred being that player coach, because he still had that element of control, especially being a number 10, and a good one at that, as you so eloquently said at the start of the podcast.
Yeah, he regularly talks about how he was the only player on the field that came off with the cleanest shirt and the cleanest top, and that you could just put it straight back in the bag, kit man, because there's nothing wrong with it. Sign of a good 10, he said. Don't get dirty. But I agree, and I found that fascinating around that element around how much he did enjoy that player coach role, because from experience, it's one of the I hated it. I just found I lost control of my own game because I was too worried about what everyone else was doing. And I think you're right. I think there's that common theme maybe between, the position that you play and how that might then help you in terms of how you adapt and take on that player coach role. I thought that was quite interesting.
I think on that, it's I think a lot of people struggle with that player coach role because it's difficult for the coach to get across. It's almost do what I say and what we discuss, not what I do on the pitch. And I think as a coach, we can I know that I can say I can coach a lot of things. I can go and coach back moves, but will I be able to successfully run a back line? We'll know. I think that's a lot of players who look at the player coaches want the coaches to be able to execute exactly what they say, when actually, as coaches, we can have a good tactical understanding and a good technical ability to a certain degree, but our technical abilities might not always match up with what we're trying to get across to the players. And I think for coaches, it's difficult, especially player coaches, it's difficult to mold that. What do we want to see and what can I actually do, because of the expectations that it gives to the players.
Yeah, and I just sort of had a bit of a reflection back to Andy's episode where he told that player that this is not a democracy in the middle of a game. Is you're right, it can cloud your decision making, maybe, especially if you put into that area that you might not be overly comfortable with. And that's quite a good point.
I think I think good about what Andy spoke about with his is that process of that discussion with the players, and how you can't offer a rebuttal. So when that process, I think he was talking about, we say it, but you can't come up with an excuse for it. You just have to accept it, and that's how that's how they moved on. And that's probably a good way of implementing it for people who might be struggling with that player coach dynamic.
Yeah, and I think again it comes back to the whole the sort of the roundabout way, the focus of this series around understanding your who, your what, and your how, because I think that's even more important in that player coach role, because you've got to be able to speak to you don't need to know your players. You need to speak to them with two hats on, I suppose, as a way to do that, as a coach and then as a player as well, and be able to distinguish between the two. Sometimes you need to be able to understand your sport to be able to coach it, but then also in terms of the how skills, you need to balance both of them in, when you're joining in, how you're joining in, the feedback you're giving to the players, and the co-coach or other coaching team that you might around you to try and make sure that you excel in that player coach role.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that probably leads it on to quite nicely what I think the overall theme and understanding what my understanding of Colin's coaching is that his coaching is all about that trust and actually trusting the players that he's working with, that actually he wants them to go on the pitch with his ideas in their head, and he trusts them to go out and execute it. And if they don't, he's and we've seen it, we've witnessed it. He'd be on the sideline constantly talking to his players. So I think that's one thing that really kind of stood out for me.
Yeah, and you asked him that question around that about, you know, the program that we have at Beckett. There are a lot of pieces to that puzzle in terms of making it a success that it is. There's a big coaching team that's part of that, and you asked him around that, managing other people and what that looks like. And I think, you know, being line managed by Col, personally, he does do this. You know, he said that as that he wants his the people that work under him to be, he wants to treat them as if as how he would like to be treated, and he does. He you know he lets you. He doesn't try and manage everything that you're doing. He lets you go and do it to the best of your ability. And you know, if there's a problem with it, then he'll definitely he'll let you know. But it's that relationship that he can build with people to get the best out of them, rather than standing over them and putting pressure on them. He's just letting you go and be at your best.
Yeah, yeah. So I think he's not just trusting his players. He's trusting the members of the staff that are working under him. And he was the first to admit in the episode that he didn't have much knowledge on the nutrition or psychology or the S&C side of it. So why is it his role as a coach to go in there and pressurize these members of staff, because they're the experts in that field?
Yeah, so like, for example, even from like an analysis point of view, we trust Barnes to give him the stuff that he needs on a weekly basis, with the clips, with the full game. And I know that, and I've seen him do it, where he's in the office and Baz has clipped all this game down, but Colin will still want to watch every single minute of that game for just for himself. But then he'll go through and watch the clips that Baz has done and then agreed with everything that he's clipped up anyway. So it's not that he's got a problem with it. He gets that engrossed in the game on a match day. He wants to make sure that he relives every single moment of that again within his reflections, and then goes and watches the stuff that Baz has sort of provided for him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Was there anything else that you particularly took away from it?
Well, I think what we've kind of discussed there in terms of his management of the team, it's interesting how that's increased over the time he spent at Leeds Beckett. We spoke about the introduction of BUCS Super Rugby, and then also how his vision is shifted as he's able to get more members of staff. That it's become not just a one man or a one team club. It's now a 6-team club during his time at Leeds Beckett, and he was actually hearing that that's one of his proudest achievements, is that he's helped witness and helped work at Leeds Beckett for. And actually now we're seeing the benefits of it, but Super Rugby now, and actually Leeds Beckett is. Like I said, it's almost an academy in itself. The standard of members of staff working there, just to be able to get a top quality BUCS Super Rugby side out week in, week out.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And Colin has shared a few times, like when it was literally at the beginning just him and a bag of balls, and he entered the Yorkshire League, so he was playing on a Wednesday, playing on a Saturday, and you'd be taking lads to fixtures and just playing rugby, and then the momentum that's built from the level of, I suppose, when you get someone with Colin's reputation, I suppose, of being a player at international Barbarians and coming and playing for Tykes and stuff, that develops interest, and it brings a level of professionalism to what was originally ran as a student club. That's then escalated through the environment that he's created. So then, like I said, we've got six teams for the men, 2 teams for the women, 260, 270 players wanting to play week in, week out. I mean, even now, we've started back. We're in week 2, and yesterday for training, we had the freshers, we had the club squad, and then we had what we class as a senior squad, which is like the first team. And in total, I think we had like 120 players, I think, trying to train over like a 5-6 hour period. Because of COVID rules, we had to spread everything out, which is great because I'm coaching for a whole day rather than just an hour and a half, get in the car and go home. But lads still want to play. Lads still want to come down and play every week, because the program gives them that, one, development, but 2, it gives them the know that there's a pathway there to, I suppose, professional rugby if they take it right. And there's rugby for all. Doesn't matter what level you're at, you're welcome within the program all the way through.
And the pathway is clear. We spoke about it on during the episode, but there's so many examples now, not just at Leeds Beckett, but so many other BUCS Super Rugby universities where players have come through their system who might not have been picked up from an academy, or they might have been dropped at an academy level, they've gone to university, and then now they're playing at a professional level, either in the championship, in the the Gallagher Premiership, Pro 14, and then even international sides as well.
I mean, if you've not seen BUCS Super Rugby, we'll put a link below where you can access some of the games, because some of them are still on YouTube. The standard is really high for what is classed as university sport. The standard is unbelievable. There's some really good players playing in the league, and it's physical, it's fast, it's tough, and I think it's a great stepping stone for these lads before they then progress on into the whether that's National League or whether that's semi-pro, whether that's in the Professional League, or even if it's just passing around the Yorkshire leagues.
Oh, definitely, and like what was said, it's now shown that there's not just the academy pathway now. There's the university pathway as well, because it is now a genuine pathway to the elite side of rugby union.
Definitely. Well, another good episode. So, guys, remember, you can still enter our competition. It closes on Wednesday, the 5th of May. We will be drawing it at the end of episode 9 in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget to enter. You just got to head to our social media channels. Charlie's got all the information at the end, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers for listening. Don't forget to join in the discussion at Big Breakdown HQ on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.